Kia ora everybody, you're here tonight with myself, Gina Kiriwara, one of the PlunketLine registered nurses. And tonight we're going to talk about sun safety. So I've got my colleague here with me, Alyssa.
Hi everyone, my name is Alyssa. I am also a registered nurse with PlunketLine, along with Gina.
Yeah, so tonight we're going to discuss a few different parts of sun safety, how much sun is safe for tamariki, protecting tamariki from the sun. How do we do that? What's a good sunscreen? And then, if all else fails, what is sunburn care? So, I guess to get us started, Alyssa, how much sun is safe for our tamariki this summer?
Yeah, really important question actually as well, Gina, for this, because I think a lot of people, um, we do know that children need sun. We know that they need sun for their vitamin D as well, right? So the vitamin D helps them to absorb calcium and promotes really good bone growth and development. So we do know our kids need the sun and exposure to sun, and generally most children need about 10 to 15 minutes a day on their face, their hands, and their arms. They don't need their full bodies exposed, and it is just that little bit that they need to get that amount of vitamin D. There are some children who do need more vitamin D. So children who have darker skin or who tan more easily will probably need more like 20 minutes a day in the sun.
Right.
A lot of times at PlunketLine, we'll get questions from parents about vitamin D supplements as well,
Mm.
which a lot of times kids may need them, they may not need them. And a lot of times there are reasons for the children that need the vitamin D. They may be premature babies. They may have other health conditions that require them to have the vitamin D supplements. But in general, if you've got quite a healthy, robust child, they may not need those. Also, some areas of the country who maybe don't get as much sun exposure, you might be prescribed some
Mm.
vitamin D drops from when your child's born. But if you do have any questions about vitamin D supplements, or whether or not you think that your child might need them, have a chat with your GP or with a pharmacist, and they can generally kind of point you in the direction about that as well.
Perfect. Good advice. So, sunburn can happen on a cloudy day too?
Absolutely can. And I think that's a really big misconception. People think, okay, it's really cloudy. We don't need our sunscreen today. And it's really important that we protect our kids kind of all year round as well, not just the summertime, but in the winter as well. Um, I've got a background with also working in a dermatology clinic with a lot of skin cancers. And from that background, I've learned that the damage is done as children. So a lot of
Mm.
times with people who are presenting with skin cancers later on in life, it's because of damage that's happened as a child. So really
Yeah.
important always to be, we know the whole common slip, slap, slop, and wrap, but making sure that we're putting our sunscreen on onto our children and
Mm.
kind of reapplying throughout the day, which you're going to hear that message quite a few times today throughout this chat, but absolutely can get sunburnt on a cloudy day and a sunny day, and that's because of the UV. Right. So we also
Right.
know that the UV radiation is what you cannot see, you cannot feel it. And that is what gives us the
Mm.
sunburns.
Yeah.
We also know that
And
UV rate. Sorry, go ahead, Gina.
I was just going to say, and does the same apply for those that do have a darker skin tone?
It yeah, it does.
They
So
can
it
get
just
burnt and have the damage.
absolutely.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's just like a lot of illnesses. It doesn't discriminate. So it doesn't discriminate
Mm.
against your skin color, whether it's sunny or not. Or cloudy day. You're in the shade. You can get sunburnt and all those kind of things.
Okay, so the overall message tonight is going to be slip, slap, slop, and wrap.
100%. 100%.
Awesome. So, how can we best protect our children, our tamariki, from the sun?
Yep. So a little bit about that. We've talked about slip, slap, slop, and wrap. So other things we need to be really mindful of is, of course, hats, right? Hats are really important.
Mm, yeah.
Picking a really wide brimmed hat for our children, not just
Okay.
a hat that's kind of, a baseball cap that exposes their ears, their back, their neck, doesn't have good protection.
Mm,
So something like a Legionnaires hat, or again, that wide brimmed hat. And we all know that kids are very famous for ripping their hats off their head and
of course.
not wanting to keep them on. So really important things is role modeling. If everybody's
Mm,
outside as a family, everybody's wearing a hat, right? Then
yeah.
it's kind of, it's just the norm. Start kids really young, from the time that they're really little babies in front packs or in a pram or anything like that, or, out on the ground, putting a hat on their head becomes a normal thing. Also,
Yeah.
making it a non negotiable. So if you're outside, you have a hat on. And again, touching on that, it's not just for the summer. This is winter as well. So it doesn't just become this annoyance in the summer. It happens all year long in the sun.
Mm,
And again, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever is around has also got that hat on their head as well. Sometimes little ties, toggles, things like that can keep them on a little bit better.
mm,
And if you are going to do ones with a tie, obviously making sure that it's not too tight, or the greatest ones are the ones that have like those safety kind of releases on them. So
yeah.
if they are climbing a tree or something and get caught, then there's no choking hazard there as well.
All good information. What about sunglasses?
Yeah, so sunglasses, really cute, really stylish. A lot of the ones that you're going to buy aren't generally going to kind of have the greatest protection for kids. And it can be really difficult to get the right fit and all that kind of stuff. So if you're really looking for a high quality one that's going to protect their eyes, help to prevent any kind of potential cancers and things like that in the eyes later on in life, best thing would be to talk to an optometrist about that as well.
Okay. And does clothing matter?
Absolutely, clothing matters. I think a lot of people also think, oh, it's really hot, it's really sunny, little tank tops or little, like,
Mm,
short sleeves and a short t-shirt and that kind of stuff.
yeah.
If you're out in the high sun, the best thing that you can do for your kids is actually have them in dark, tightly woven long sleeves. And
Really?
that's going to give you the best sun protection. Tightly woven fabrics, less kind of UV
Mm,
that can get in past the woven fabrics. And again, darker
interesting.
colors are going to again stop that UV light from getting through.
Probably not what a lot of us do, really, is it? So it's really good
Mm,
to learn this stuff. Okay,
yeah.
so probably one of the burning questions I think for lots of mums, I know even for myself, what makes a good sunscreen, especially on little babies and toddlers, right?
Yeah. So good sunscreens, again, it's kind of like, a shampoo. What might work for some may not work for others, but some really good kind of base information that you want to go with. You want to make sure you've got a high SPF, a 50 plus if you can. Um,
Mhm.
and making sure that you're kind of looking at the labeling, making sure it's water resistant, right? You're not going to find ones that are waterproof as such, but water
Yeah.
resistance, and ideally at least a 2 hour mark. Looking for ones that do have all of the kind of labeling that we're now expecting them to have. The Commerce Commission of New Zealand has released kind of what your expectations are for them to have on the sunscreen labels. And again, it doesn't mean that the most expensive sunscreen is going to be the best one.
Mhm.
And again, what may work for some kids may have sensitive skin and may need something different. So you're looking for something that's got SPF coverage, ideally of a 50 plus. You're looking
Okay.
for a broad spectrum, which
Yeah.
is going to be a bit smaller on the labeling, water resistance, and clear instructions how to use it as well. Really important for your sunscreen, check your date, make sure it's not expired because it will
Yep.
expire, and making sure you're storing it somewhere cool. Okay. So
Right.
lots of different brands, lots of different budgets.
Yep.
But again, it's finding the one that you like, and always a really good idea to do a bit of a test patch on your child with a new one to make sure they're not going to have any reactions or anything like that to it. But again, make it a non-negotiable for children. You're going to be
Mm,
outside, you need your hat, you need your sunscreen
yep.
for
And
everyone.
role model. Yep. And role
Absolutely.
model.
Yep.
What about
Everybody's
those
feeding
little
on
zinc
together.
sticks?
Yeah, really
The,
good, those zinc sticks, and really fun for
yeah.
kids, right? Lots of different colors that they can
Yeah.
choose from. Great for the lips, nose, cheeks to put them on. They can do little designs and that kind of stuff. But again, making sure you've got a base of a really good sunscreen on there
Got
before
yeah.
you're putting that on, because you don't really need a little line and
Oth
the rest of their face is
Otherwise you
nice and
get
rosy.
little designs on your face, don't you?
Yeah.
Yep, makes
Yeah.
sense.
Mm.
Okay, so there's lots of good information in there, making sure it doesn't expire, using the zinc stick that can kind of entice kids to get involved too, probably. It
Hmm.
doesn't need to be expensive. I hear that one. What
Hmm.
about the sprays? Are they any good?
So aerosols definitely can be useful if we're using them correctly, right? You still need to rub them in and make sure that you've got coverage and they're not patchy. If it's a windy day and you're
Mm,
trying to spray it, you may lose half of
just
what you're
go
spraying.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have their place, and I know sometimes that people do quite like them because they think, oh, I can just spray my child and that's done. You still need to
Mm.
rub them in. So just being mindful of that. Um, they're also cold. So some kids will, you might spritz their back and they just buckle under you
Uh,
and you're not going to
yep.
get it on them again. So there's a couple really good products that have kind of come out on the market that do make putting sunscreen on kids a little bit easier. Some kids are good. Some kids want to take ownership of it and want to do it themselves and help, which is also great. But again, making sure that we're kind of going over as parents as well. And if it's thick and not rubbed in, 100%, that's okay. That's just some
Oh, okay.
extra layering. So I've got this little product here, which I'm sure some people have seen. It's I don't know if you can see it very well. Really, can you? Maybe. Let's see if I come up closer. Nope, it just keeps blending into my background. Oh, there we go. Um, so this is like a little roller, and you can unscrew the top, and you fill this up with your sunblock of choice, a nice kind of,
Yeah.
more of a liquidy one. Screw it on. You pop the cap off, which sorry, it's a new one, so it's a bit. And it's got a little roller on the inside and some foam, so you can just kind of rub it on their arms, and it gives a nice kind of coat and rubs in. So a really good kind of handy one to help. And then again, children can kind of put them on themselves, use them on their face. So they're quite a good product to help with that as well. You can get the bottoms come in different colors. So if your kids, want their own and need to have multiple different ones, then they do come in different colors. Other really good ways to put on sunscreen, if you do have a child who doesn't like to put it on, makeup brushes, like
Really?
just thick bristles, thick bristle
It's
makeup brush. And again, easy to brush it on the face. You're not going to get it in their
what a great
eyes.
idea.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so probably better more so for the face than, bigger areas. And other ones are
Mm.
those kind of like beauty blender, makeup spongy kind of ones as well. Again, quite
Yep.
easy to put them on and apply. And then you're also not, yeah, getting it in their eyes, trying to chase them around. They may just want to do this themselves. And again, you just kind of cover it up a little bit as well. So they're kind of these are ones we use in our house for my two little
Great
ones.
tools. Can I ask
Yeah.
where you may get that the Rolly like deodorant gadget?
Yep. So that you can get them at lots of places. It's called well, this one's a cheapy one. This is just a non-branded one, but I believe they're called Solar Buddies. And you
Okay.
can get them. Some of them have like replacement kind of foamy bits as well.
Yep.
So you can get them on lots of different websites. Um, but yeah, so it is kind of they are helpful. I mean, of course, and again, doing it together, you're putting your
Yeah.
sunscreen on. Well, I'm putting my sunscreen on, and we're doing it together is really important. Really, really important.
As with most things with children, eh? Um,
Mm, yeah.
yeah, that role modeling. Okay. So, what happens if, despite all your best efforts, your hat, your sunscreen, your child gets sunburnt? What do we
Hmm.
do then?
So you have to treat it like a burn, right? That is exactly what it is. So treat it like a burn. Lukewarm baths can sometimes help to kind of soothe the skin. If
Yep.
they're really in distress, some Pamol or some paracetamol to help to give them a bit of comfort. But again, making
Yep.
sure that you're using the correct dose of Panadol for the age. And if you're not sure about the dosing, you can check Healthify has a Panadol dose calculator, or you can always give us a call at PlunketLine, and we can kind of help work you through with that as well. Um,
Awesome.
Sunburns can cause dehydration. So we want to make sure that we're replacing and giving them lots
Mm.
to drink. So more things to drink, cool fluids, water, electrolyte-based drinks. Um,
Yep.
and, those kind of drinks are going to be more beneficial to them to things like just straight juice or sodas or things like that. So trying to replace with that. Um, if the burn is in a child who's under the age of 1, you may need to go to the doctor. Or if your puppy is older than 1 and you've got severe pain and blistering, they're having fevers, they're quite lethargic, you might need to go
Mm,
to the doctor. But again, you can always call us at PlunketLine. And if they
yeah,
do have a sunburn, you need to keep them out of the sun, okay, until
yeah,
it really heals, because it is obviously very fragile skin, very sensitive skin. So making sure that we've got them out of the sun, well protected, well covered with your clothing, in the shade, wearing a hat if they're outside,
yeah.
to make sure that we're kind of giving them that best opportunity. And again, it is kind of a bit of a learning the hard way sometimes, and sometimes it's unavoidable. One really common sunburn that people tend to kind of miss, and it's it's an avoidable one, but happens, is the feet of children, especially
Yes.
popping out from a pram.
Yeah.
Right? You've gone for a beautiful walk, your little ones, you're having a great day,
Mm,
but putting sunscreen on the bottom of the feet, between those toes, the tops of
yeah.
the feet is really important. Or if you are going for a walk and your little one's in a pram, covering their legs up with like a really light muslin cloth,
Yeah.
so that they're really well protected that way. And that also goes from sun coming in through the windows of a car as well. So popping either the
Yes.
sunshades on, muslin cloth, which if you're get caught out and you're out and about, a little light blanket, you can roll it up in the window so you've got some protection there as well.
Great
But
idea.
they're really important. And another one is, or if you've got a front pack and you've got a little one in the front pack, legs are very exposed. So again,
Yeah,
just
they
wrap
hang
that
down.
light muslin around there and tuck it
Yeah.
in so that they've got complete, they're covered, along with that sunscreen.
Great ideas. Definitely wish I knew some of these when my children were so little.
Same.
Um, yeah, I know. We don't know what we don't know.
That's
So
right.
I know myself at PlunketLine in the summertime, our sunburn and sunstroke calls go right up. So
Hmm.
prevention is definitely key.
Hmm.
Now, it looks like we've got a bit of a question from
Hmm.
Rachel, who wants to know any tips for you on how to get her 1 year old to keep the hat on, notorious for taking it off and untying. And I think lots of us parents can relate.
Yes. Yeah. And great question. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating on the best of days. And again, it's making it a non-negotiable. So
Mm,
also really hard for 1-year-olds, obviously their comprehension isn't the same as a 4-year-old, but role modeling that hat, right?
yeah,
We're starting early with that hat. Anytime we're going outside, right? Not just on a sunny day, we're going outside, that hat is on the head. If the hat comes off the head, we pop it back on. You can try and distract baby with something different.
yep,
Sometimes they could be, if you're at the beach playing with a sand toy, and then you just pop it back on the head. And if it comes back off, no, you need to wear your hat. Mommy's wearing her hat, grandma's wearing their hat,
yeah,
whoever you're with is wearing their hat. And if you're at home playing in the garden, whatever it might be, we have to go inside then. If you're not going to wear your hat, we need to go inside. And
yep,
and you have to follow through with that and go inside. And
mm,
just, it's repetition, repetition, repetition.
yep,
Sometimes with older kids, giving them some ownership over their hat, so letting them
mm,
choose which hat they want to wear that day. Most of us
yep,
have umpteen million hats in our house. When you have kids, you don't just
yeah,
have that one. So it's, do you want the blue hat? Do you want the green hat with dinosaurs? Which hat do you
yep,
want today? Do you want your straw hat? Whatever it might be. And
choices.
letting them choose. Yeah,
Yeah,
letting them
choices,
choose that
choices.
hat. Yeah.
Really promote that independence, eh?
Mhm. And positive reinforcement, right? We always know that that
Yeah,
works really well with children. So, "Oh my god, you look so amazing in your hat. I love that you're
yeah,
wearing that hat today.
yeah,
You're doing so well keeping that hat on your head. How great is
yeah.
that? Mom's got her hat on, we're just positive reinforcement all the time, as opposed to
They
nitpicking
want
if it's
more of
bad
it, don't
or
they? Yep,
yeah, yep, yep.
yep, for
And
sure.
getting them, if they've taken it off, put it back on, and then praise them for putting their own hat back on their head.
Yeah, yeah, they'll forget that they were the one that took it off.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I see that there's also a question, and I did wonder this myself when we were kind of gearing up to do this Facebook Live tonight. What are the
Mm.
best sunscreens for sensitive skin? So, is there particular ingredients we need to be careful of? Particularly, I know there's a lot of eczema babies out there.
Yeah, so I think it's a really tricky one because again, with things like eczema, every child may be triggered by something a little bit different. There's
Yeah.
no X ingredient kind of thing. So again, that would be one of those ones to have a conversation with either your GP or a pharmacist, and
Okay.
go in if you know that your child is triggered by something, then, reading your ingredient labels, or again, test patching, right? And checking to see, a
Right.
lot of times the inner arm is a really good area, and make it a decent size, right? Like don't just do a little tiny dab, make it a decent size to do your test patch. And obviously you want to do that test patch before you're planning on having your sun exposure. Um,
Yeah.
and I guess leading into sun exposure as well is we really need to make sure that we are putting our sunblock on 20 minutes before we are going outside. Okay, we're not just putting it on and running right into the ocean. You need that time for it to absorb and soak in. So
Mm,
popping it on before you're going outside, and then obviously making sure we're reapplying as well. So at least every 2 hours, or if you're sweating or a bit in the water, then reapplying again. So there's never too much sunscreen. There's never too much kind of wearing your hat and all those kind of things. So the more and more we do it, the more we're protected as well.
awesome. Well, I don't know that there's any other questions that have popped. Oh, no, sorry, we have one more question around zinc-based sunscreens. Are they better, worse? Do we recommend them?
Yeah, so again, it's one of those ones, zinc-based sticks and things like that are great. The main thing with them is a lot of zinc ones, they may not be water resistant. So again, that's something you want to look into, is that water resistance.
Oh,
And
okay.
again, there are some sunscreens that, maybe you don't need a water resistant one today because you're going for, a short play at the playground and you're not planning on being there for too long, and you just need something kind of, you're not going to have any water play. You don't anticipate that your child's going to get too sweaty. A zinc based one may work for that. But if you're going,
Gotcha.
again, if it's going to be at the beach, something like that, then you want to make sure it's a water resistant one. Um,
Mm,
Zinc is a great kind of sunscreen protection, as we know, but again, it's kind of making sure it's got all the other factors, that the Commerce Commission recommends with your SPF, your broad spectrum, and those
mm.
kind of things as well, making sure they're meeting the requirements of the recommendations.
Well, thanks, Alyssa. Gosh, there's so much you need to know when you're a new parent, isn't there? Things that you
Yeah.
could never even imagine before having children. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
and your expertise and wealth of knowledge has been highly appreciated. So thank you so much for joining us tonight and imparting that expertise.
Thanks. And just remember, lots of sunscreen, slip, slap, slop, and wrap, and keep our little ones protected.
Awesome. All right, until next time, thanks for signing on with PlunketLine. Bye.